So the order for any trader whose goods arrive in Mombasa, not necessarily requiring them to use SGR as the mode of transport, is already taken effect. KPA, upon directives from the government, has expunged that order. So it means for any goods then that land in Mombasa, all the transporters can use their mode of transport. Fine. You can celebrate or you can ask questions. But then the background is what's going to make you celebrate or start asking questions. Now, SGR, you do know that the question has been that this project has not been viable. The viability of this project has always been in question. So what did the immediate former president, Uhuru Kenyatta, do? Because then we were struggling to raise monies to pay for SGR. By the way, in a year, we need 12 billion shillings to run SGR. On top of that, we need to release a couple of billions each month for us to pay back the loan. And you do know that China takes a big chunk of the external loans that we pay. And the reason for that, SGR. We do understand that it doesn't make sense for us to take all the goods to Naivasha, and from there, transportation begins. Fine, it doesn't make sense. It also doesn't make sense for you to force me as a transporter to use SGR if indeed I'm in trade. The ease of doing business in the country should be in the sense of that I, as a trader, have an option of the mode of transport to use, because at the end of the day, I'm in the business of business. What makes sense to me, not what makes sense to a government. But then the question then becomes, we were in this project. We already did it. But then we are struggling to pay for it. All those orders that were put in place by immediate former President Uhuru Kenyatta were to at least make SGR have some money, because we were topping up month after month. In fact, if you look at the figures that I'm just about to give to you, then it will start to make sense as to why you would then make it better for all the traders then to move their goods via SGR. Let me give you the figures, because if we go back to the latest data by the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, it shows that in the first quarter of 2022, SGR raised 3.65 billion to be exact. And if we go back to where we were a year earlier, we raised 3.66 billion. Listen. So even when we were operating at full capacity, the numbers that we've clocked in the first quarter of 2022 were way smaller than the numbers we clocked a year earlier. Put it into context then, in this sense, because we go back to what cargo trains, especially because we do know passenger business isn't really a thing for SGR. If you look at what they were making, then you will say they raised 569.27 million shillings. That is 84% of SGR's money. So cargo business accounted for 84% of SGR's money. And during this period, by the way, in the first quarter of 2022, when we were at 3.08 billion in revenues, cargo business accounted for 84% of the money that SGR was making. So the question is going to be, fine, let's celebrate. Mombasa business back in track. Good. All those people lost their businesses in that value chain. You would say, indeed, in Mombasa, they're back on it. Fine. All the road transporters, the guys with the big trucks on the road. They're back in business. Fine. Who's going to pay the money for SGR? Huh? Did we see that from President Ruto? So when you come to the government and you complain about debt, and then you take the same avenue that is making you pay more debt, and then you, for lack of a better word, defund it, how are you going to get more money? Where is that money going to come from? Was that outlined in that plan, or this was just popularist economics? I do not know. You do not know, because it didn't say. For us, we're going to wait for when SGR debt is due, and then after that we look for the books, and then we come back with the answers. My name is Simba Kiage. This is Lookupbusiness. Now, the Central Bank of Kenya is under pressure to increase lending rates in the banking industry in Kenya in the wake of ever-rising global interest rates, which local investors say is making Kenyan assets less attractive to investments. Experts now say that local lenders are unwilling to lend to the government, with the current interest rates a factor that many say will present a challenge to the current government that is in need of money to run a debt-ridden economy. With Kenya already priced out of the bond market due to the high rates, CBK has resisted efforts to push bond rates above the 14% mark, which will be seen as a factor for investors, while making it costly for the Treasury to borrow amid risks of commercial bank lending rates spiking. Since July this year, the CBK has borrowed 93.2 billion shillings in bonds, while 58.2% of the 160 billion sought by the government. Now, the rise in global borrowing costs is highly unwelcome to developing countries, many of which are struggling to return to the pre-pandemic economic levels. Low returns in the Kenyan market means investors are seeking better returns in foreign markets that have recently become more attractive as global rates increase. Local investors are demanding over 14% for 3 long-dated bonds, but CBK only accepted 13.9% on a 15-year bond, 13.9% on a 20-year bond, and 13.8% on another 15-year bond, which is looked at as an attractive figure. This may impact the government's target of raising 565 billion shillings from the domestic market to plug the 845 billion shillings hole in the national budget for the year ending June 2023. Moving on, the Kenya Bureau of Standards (KEBS) has asked all the blacklisted edible oil brands, manufacturers and distributors to make sure that none of the products are in circulation in the country. Speaking at the KEBS offices in Nairobi, Permanent Secretary, State Department for Industrialization, reaffirmed KEBS' commitment in ensuring that all products in the country meet set standards. He has further asked the public to remain calm in the wake of the cancellation, maintaining that there were enough secure options in the market for consumption.
Brand and batch numbers. You will all get a copy.
A few days after the Kenya Bureau of Standards cancelled 10 oil brands from the Kenyan shelves, they are now calling on the manufacturers and distributors to make sure that none of the products are still in circulation in the country. Addressing the media, KEBS has maintained that they will intensify their crackdown across the country to make sure that their orders are followed to the letter.
We were just emphasizing they should have recalled them. We do not expect to have these batches in the shelves. We were calling the manufacturers so that we can emphasize to them that we do not expect any of these products with these batches to be in our shelves.
They have all been recalled. They have all been pulled off the shelves. They are not supposed to be on any shelf as of now, because all the manufacturers have been called, they have been advised, they have been given the batch numbers, and we are asking them to be proactive in withdrawing those batch numbers from the market.
Permanent Secretary, State Department for Industrialization, took his time to remind the public of the brands in question and the associated badges that have been attached to them in the wake of the cancellation.
1. Bahari Fry, batch number 107921. There is also second, Fresh Fry, batch number FF1L17487D. There is number 3, Fresh Fry with Garlic. It is batch number FF5001-75260. There is Fry Meat, which has a batch number of 8941D. There is Olive Gold, which has a batch number of 105948. We have Postman, which has a batch number of 0210322B, as in boy. We have Rina, which has a batch number 0340522B. We have Salit, which has a batch number SS1L17472D. We also have Tile, which has a batch number 152222A. And last, we have Top Fry, which has a batch number OL4A3 MF9250522.
Will the crackdown continue?
This is not a spot check. It is a result of a continuous process. Even as we speak, we have a market surveillance team that is around all over the country, just buying products randomly from every part of this country, and all these get tested.
Simba, Elijah Charles, Kiage, Lookupbusiness. The Kenya Ports Authority, KPA, has issued a public notice to shipping lines to facilitate importers in the nomination of a place of clearance of cargo. The notice follows President William Ruto's directive that clearing of all goods and other attendant operational issues be reverted to the Port of Mombasa. Edin John Mukora reports.
In a statement, Kenya Ports Authority has notified all shipping lines that importers' documentation of place of clearance and mode of transport for their goods shall be at their choice. According to the Kenya Ports Authority, the notice subsedes the notice of June 6, 2018, which locked out importers from nominating their place of clearance. The notice follows President William Ruto's directive that operations of Mombasa Port be reverted back after being transferred to the Naivasha Dry Port. The June 2018 notice had locked importers to only use the SGR as their mode of transport and only clear their cargo at the Naivasha Dry Port. Edin John Mokora, Lookuptv.
Moving on, Safaricom Investment Cooperative has held its groundbreaking for the Miran Residence, a luxurious urban residential development situated at the western end of the Nairobi Bypass, Ruaka in Kiambu County. The Miran Residence is a 3-acre development that consists of studio apartments, studio lofts, and 1, 2, and 3-bedroom apartments that incorporate modern architecture and new consumer trends to promote a holistic lifestyle in a secure and serene environment. Edwin John Mukora still with that story.
In its pursuit of creating investment opportunities for its members, mainly consisting of former and current staff of Safaricom Limited, Safaricom Investment Cooperative has hit the ground in the 750 million shillings luxury residential development, the Miran Residence. Safaricom Investment Cooperative Chief Executive Officer Sarah Wahogo has said that the Miran residence is an exceptional investment not only because of the amenities but also due to the location, saying that Roka is a fast-growing area and they expect a rental yield of 7 to 8% due to the good transport infrastructure and the growing social amenities such as hospitals, schools and shopping malls.
Owning a home is considered a self-actualization for many of us, and you might have heard that it's not an easy journey. In fact, some people will tell you that it is a very, very difficult journey. But we are here to offer you an easy way out as a homeowner for Miran. As I've said, that we are bringing you a project, we are bringing you financing options, we are doing the due diligence for you, we are doing a lot of the work for you. We are also making sure that the units are well priced, the most competitive in the market, and I can tell you for sure that for this kind of development, with the quality that we look at having, this is the best that you can get in the market.
Speaking during the groundbreaking ceremony, the Director of Housing in Kiambu County, Julius Mololo, lauded Safaricom Investment Cooperative Society for contributing to the economic development of Kiambu County in land and housing.
I know Safaricom is among the establishments that the county government of Kiambu can trust. We in the department support infrastructure around areas that we are coming up with affordable houses, and therefore I can assure you as Safaricom that whatever necessary infrastructure that you need, the county government of Kiambu is ready to support you.
The praises for the Miran residence range from 3.2 million shillings to 6.5 million shillings. The Miran residence consists of a studio loft, and 1 and 2 bedroom units. Edwin John Mokora, Lookupbusiness.
President William Samoei Ruto has flagged off the provision of food to 23 drought-stricken areas at State House, Nairobi. Ruto, who was in the company of his deputy Rigathi Gachagua, governors in the affected counties and other stakeholders have taken the measure to curb the biting hunger, with the plans strategized to efficiently save 3.5 million people from the crisis. They have released 24,000 bags of rice, 20,000 bags of beans, cooking oil and intervention measures of water that is set for achievement. Moses Okech tells more.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya.
In a meeting of the Drought Committee convened by the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua at State House, Nairobi, 3,500,000 people across the 23 counties in the Republic are affected by the drought crisis will receive a relief of food.
Currently, we have 23 counties across the country that are suffering the very serious and severe effects of drought.
With a high recent number of loss of lives and livestock in the areas across the country due to lack of food and resources, President William Ruto stated a strategic plan to curb the biting hunger.
I have asked the Deputy President to, on a weekly basis, make these consultations possible so that we can monitor as government the steps that are required for us to ensure that no Kenyan dies of hunger.
That you want transparency in the distribution of relief food. It has been agreed that the food that you are flagging off today and subsequently will not be distributed by county commissioners alone. It will be a concerted effort between the national government administration, the county governments and our development partners so that there is transparency and there is efficiency.
The intervention will at least bring hope back to life, thus assuring the Republic of strong resource management and control, including water supply in the counties.
Work with the counties so that they can favorably consider adjustments of the various interventions that are required to make it much more easy for Kenyans to deal with the current situation.
In addition, the county government will work hand in hand with the national government to enable efficient budgetary allocation that will structure the country's performance with the help of the Treasury.
If they have to slow down some of their projects and programs
so that we can take care of this situation. The same thing we are doing at the national government. We expect county governments to adjust their budget so that there can be available additional resources to take care of the drought situation in the country.
Ruto also promised to mobilize resources for animal offtake that will save their lives even with lack of assorted animal feeds, as well as long-term solutions for climate change. He says,
we will also be mobilizing resources for animal offtake where we find that the animals are too weak. We're going to work with Kenya Meat Commission to make sure that there is an offtake program that will facilitate citizens not to be stuck with livestock when they do not have pasture.
In safeguarding the lives of citizens during and after the crisis, the chairperson of the
Moses Okech with that story. Now let's move on to our last story on our business desk this morning, where after a 2-year absence, the Nairobi International Trade Fair kicked off yesterday at Jamhuri Park. The Chief Administrative Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries, Ann Nyaga, urged farmers to turn up in large numbers to learn and adopt new technological advances in agriculture. The week-long event is expected to be graced by President William Ruto Wednesday, with the ASK branch chair indicating that they are expecting exhibitors from abroad to grace the trade fair. Ian Kitani gives us that story.
I think as the ministry has mandated, our work is to ensure that there's both information flow, knowledge transfer, and also facilitation as to why this should happen, so that our farmers can continuously be skilled and also knowledge passed on to them so that we can be able to cope with the changing times. Ours is to encourage from the ministry farmers to come out in large numbers, critical stakeholders, anyone who has an interest in the agricultural sector, to come and learn also, and also to come and also exhibit. Because we are living in times where we have to really adapt to the new, to the changing patterns in the climate. It can only be done when we know what to adapt to or to adopt in terms of the technologies. If it's seeds, we have our various institutions, that is the state departments, the state agencies, who have a specialized role in, say, seed production and also seed multiplication.
We have a number of exhibitors, both local and international. I think international we have 300 or slightly more. And then we also have international, about 50 coming from countries across the world, including China and many others.
Well, it's been 2 hours and 26 minutes of trading. That is today, but then we have to take you back a little bit and show you exactly how the markets ended trading yesterday. And that means that we have to take you to yesterday's gainers, losers and movers, just so we see exactly how the market has been. Yesterday, we did see majority of trading headlined by NCBN, Safaricom. Let's then take a look at how the markets closed yesterday. And I want us to pick up from what were the biggest gainers yesterday, and you can actually, from now, we don't have a capture more T again. You can get that share, by the way, at 124. Yeah. And that's exactly where we are. And by the way, I do apologize for how they currently look. This is how they were looking like in just a couple of minutes ago. And let me just look at it, which is okay, by the way. So we'll be looking at how they currently look vis-a-vis how they were looking yesterday. So this data then would then reflect exactly how they looked. They were looking this morning vis-a-vis how they were looking yesterday. You can see Capture Raw, it closed yesterday at 113. Currently, you can can say it is at 124. That's the data that we're representing there. And yesterday we didn't have Nairobi Business Ventures coming in the top gainers. We don't see it currently. We don't have Umeme. We also don't see it. And Flame Tree is not there, and the NSC was actually in the top 5. So you can see how that list currently is right now, meaning that it is under constant change. Kapchorua, by the way, has been rallying on that particular agricultural stock, and we can see right now that from yesterday, then you will say it is representing 9.73% change from where it was yesterday. Fantastic. Let's move on to the second indicator in as far as the markets are concerned. Let's look at the biggest losers. And since we'll be giving you updated data today on that particular list, let me take you back to how they were looking yesterday before we look at that today. Yes, we do have Liberty again coming in now. Yesterday they closed in at 6 shillings and 30 cents. Today they are at 5 shillings and 70 cents in real time trading. So we're showing you exactly how it looks in just a couple of hours. We also do have Total again. Yesterday they closed in at 24. Currently they are at 22 shillings and 30 cents. That representing negative 7.08% change. Yesterday, by the way, they did close in at a negative 5.21% change. Again, really telling you how it has been. Again, yesterday we didn't have Britain, by the way, in that list. We don't currently see them there. Again, we do have Kenyan on this list again. Yesterday we didn't have Kenyan on that. Kenyan now at 3 shillings and 54. Again, representing negative 3.54% change. Not so much really from what we're saying. We didn't have East African cables again yesterday on this one at 1 shillings and 21 cents per share. Today you can actually get that at 1 shilling and 1.15. So not so much really in terms of this particular list, in terms of the biggest losers from yesterday. This is the real time. That's exactly how they are reflecting currently. Let's move on to the biggest movers. And yesterday we did see that indeed we were talking about CBA, yeah, and NCBA, sorry, and Safaricom leading trading. And by now, it's been 2 hours and 26 minutes of trading. Safaricom has already clocked the 7 million mark. That is 7.1. KCB, again, we did see them headline trading yesterday. They are now at a 410,200 shares traded. We do have APSA at a 2,063,000 shares traded. NCBA, which was a 12 million yesterday, by the way, is coming in at 1,198,200. It will be interesting to see if KPLC can close in on a 1 million shares today, because yesterday they broke in at a 794,000. Now it will be interesting because they are at 822,400. That is what we do know now after 2 hours and 31 minutes of trading, with Safaricom leading at 7 million shares, KCB 4 million, APSA 2 million, NCBA 1.1, and KPLC at 822,400. So I'm a key NSC really, because we do have the banking quarters, the telecommunication quarters, and KPLC, which has not died down in terms of investor curiosity really, or confidence, once we are at that particular point. And those are the market updates as from the 27th of September. Real time, by the way. Thank you very much, Dano, for that. It looks good. All right. Now, we did promise that we're going to get into conversations on the just opened Nairobi Agricultural Show. Now remember, it's been 2 years since we did say this. It took a 2 years hiatus because of the COVID-19 pandemic. They're back. We take you there with Ian Keitani so that we can see exactly how it opened yesterday. We see parts of the conversations. We're going to listen into the chairs. We did have a conversation with the CAS, agriculture, fisheries, and also parts of the notable conversations that we did have with even the chairman, also the ones who were on the board in terms of opening this year's SK Show. By the way, you get time, visit. There's so many things that you can learn from there. Runs all the way to 2nd October. That is this weekend, Sunday. We take a short break right here on a Lookupbusiness. Once we come back, a look at how the agricultural, it's actually called Nairobi International Trade Fair 2022 is firing on. This is Lookupbusiness.
Hapa kazi tu inaendelea kuwasaka na kuwatambua wale ambao wanafanya kazi extraordinary na zile kazi za kujituma.
Biashara yote unaambiangwa